Hello and welcome back to another review of me, Kevin from Kevin Grant on Whiskey. This week it's more of a comparison, what's the better value for money, and there's similarities or big differences. So as we can see, we've got two Bunnahabhain. We've got the 12-year-old, which has been around since 1979 I think, and then we've got the Stiuireadair, which has been around since about 2017. Doing a little bit of looking on them and checking them out. There's a lot of similarities. The biggest difference is one has an age statement and one doesn't. Slightly different makeup and cask, but what I remember from trying them is they do taste similar. So I thought I'll taste them side by side, give tasting notes to see what they look like and see what I feel, and just see if we can get a decision, what I feel today is best value for money. I've not had a Bunnahabhain for a while. I just looking at my shelf and I thought, oh, they're at the back, and not that I recycle, but I move my shelf around now and then because I can see myself being lazy and reaching for stuff that's just at the front so I don't have to move bottles around. So I had a wee move about today and I've seen these. And I thought, let's have a look and do a comparison from the same distillery, similar makeup. The good points here are they're both 46.3% non-chill filtered natural colour. That's what we like. So I'm going to put these to here just now. We'll prop them back up. And what I've done is I've colour coordinated my two glasses. So the blue glass for Stiuireadair because the labelling on that is blue, and then the 12-year-old, I've got the red sticker on it because it's got the red label. So if you look at them straight away, there is slight differences. I think the colour of the 12-year-old is definitely darker compared to the Stiuireadair. Looking at Stiuireadair, it is a cask makeup of first fill and second fill sherry casks alone, or refill sherry. The 12-year-old Bunnahabhain is ex-bourbon and sherry cask matured. I'm not too sure on the finish in the sherry. I would probably say colour-wise, with that little bit of deepness to it, it's going to be over a couple of years anyway. I'm going to say maybe 11 years to 12 years, 10 years potentially in bourbon, and then maybe a 2-year finish in sherry, but I am not too sure. The great thing about them both, as I said, 46.3% non-chill filtered natural colour, owned by Distell, who also have Deanston on their cards, which is another kind of big firm that they have, which is actually around the corner for myself. Bunnahabhain I've still not been to. Unfortunately, when I went to Islay, it was only a short trip, so I had to kind of make decisions where I had to go. So I still want to go and experience it because I love the 12, and by picking both bottles up, there's not much left in the 12-year-old, and there's a kind of half bottle or more left in the Stiuireadair. So let's get into this. Let's have a kind of nose them both together, side by side, see if there's any similarities, see what's the palate has changed, and we'll get into a little bit more of why I think this Stiuireadair came out. And a wee quick one, it means helmsman in Scotch Gaelic. So we'll smell this first. The blue one is the Stiuireadair, if you can see there. Hopefully you can see the colour and what the lighting will be like with today. So straight away, for me, it's got that kind of nice coastal note, which I usually do get from Bunnahabhain. A little bit oily. A little bit sweet, but not overly. It's more that kind of salty sea breeze and oily. If you smell the 12, it just smells a bit deeper. It's hard to explain the word deeper. It just smells, it's not even old, because 12 isn't relatively old in whiskey terms, but in comparison to that, it's more settled. This has got sweeter, more vanilla. I would say it's even slightly more sherried, even though this is a kind of full sherry maturation with a first fill and a second fill. It's got a lot more bourbon notes, but I think that finish is a bit more prominent. Still a little bit of coastal, a little bit nutty, which I usually do get from the 12. I've always had that little nutty note from a 12 Bunnahabhain. Coastal. Dry. It's got a kind of dried fruit note to it. even though they're both the same ABV, this has got a kind of sharper pull away quicker when you take a smell, a good deep hit. And I think that's because it's young. I believe this is going to be young, single digit, 7-year max potentially. So we'll go for this first. I'll try the Stiuireadair first, then we'll move on to the 12 to see what the palate does and see what takes prominent in what I like today. Sláinte everyone. It's light, a little bit spicy at the end there. Got that kind of ginger hit to it. It tries to stay sweet around the edges, but I feel it's got a nice kind of more spicy note going down, that kind of cracked pepper, ginger with sweetness at the front, but on the way down it's right at the back of the tongue, it's got that spicy peppery note to it, but not in a bad way. It's not overly spicy, it's light on the palate, more of your juicier fruits from that, and as I said, from the 12-year-old on the nose, it's a kind of dried fruit note, a little bit nutty, but not as what I'm used to, not as dry as I remember it being as well, as this is kind of more mouth-watering, if that makes sense, on the Stiuireadair. So we'll try the 12. So dry, coastal, nutty, big kind of blast at vanilla. Just that, it's got that dry note, a little bit aged to it. So slange again, let's try this 12. Definitely drier on that finish, not as spicy. Very well rounded, nutty, it's there. The dryness coming through on the back edge. That little bit of age, just being 12, is definitely more noticeable in comparison to the Stiuireadair, because it just tastes a bit more relaxed and put together. But if you look at the 12-year-old as well, that's been around since 1979. I think it was one of the first age statements that Bunnahabhain done. And it's what everyone's grown to love around that brand to grow it. So Bunnahabhain, 1979, we're in 2022. It's 43, if my math is correct, years old. It has to be good for that amount of time. The only thing that I have now is having a little look that last year 2 of the washbacks got changed. The Oregon Pine, 2 got taken out and 2 brand new ones have been put in. They've also got another 2 washbacks from 1963, 64 year, excuse me, which are due to be changed. And if you look at, you know, nearly 60 years worth of a washback, the depth of flavour that should be in there, how much will that change now? How much can that unique spirit and low wines be able to stick up to what is here? Are they going to have to try and force a flavour again, or is it going to rebrand it and completely change? And I don't know if that's what... So it's all speculation from my side, but I don't know if this Stiuireadair has come out to rebuild that with this new stuff that's just came out, and this will be maybe the new 12. I'm not sure. But one of the things I heard through the pipeline before was, again, not sure how much of it is true, just total whispers and hearing in the kind of community of the whiskey side, is the 12-year-old was kind of, they were running low on stock, on aged stock, to keep that coming out because it was in supermarkets. So here in the UK, you could buy the 12-year-old in a supermarket, no problem at all, sitting on the shelf. You go to Tesco, for instance, it would be on special, sometimes £30 for a 12-year-old, 46% non-chill filtered natural colour. You're going to be buying it all the time. I don't get much peat or anything from it. Like, I've been having, I think it's The 12-year-old is classed as 5 ppm, I think, round about that region, so there's not this kind of big Isla hit that you do usually get. But when this started coming to fruition that they were running low on stock, is what I believe, they diverted traffic and brought out the Stiuireadair. So they brought out this, that's the 12. They brought out this to put in supermarkets. Because it's not an age statement, they could probably change. It could be 7 years old and it could be 5, and they just keep it very similar in the taste profile. So I think this is brought out to divert traffic. If you want the 12-year-old now, you sometimes can find it in supermarkets, but it is more to be found in specialist shops and online retailers. Price-wise as well, if you want Bunnahabhain itself, £44 for 12-year-old. Non-chill filtered natural colour. Yes, ticks every single box that I want. I know I trust it, it's been around for long enough, and I've tried it over the years, that I'm always going to buy it. We go for Stiuireadair, £38 on our website. So for £6 of a difference, to get an age statement, are you going to go for it? We'll decide at the end here and see how the palate goes. So I'm going to go back in, because your palate's now, I've had a wee whiskey, I've had a wee dram of each, a wee sip, that my palate's going to be a bit more acclimatised to the alcohol again. So see if anything changes. Water-wise, I wouldn't put anything in. So I find on the 12 it's a bit more flowery now, kind of summer garden hit. Wee bit floral, still that sweetness from vanillas are there, that dryness coming through, a little bit of sherry notes, slight strawberry hit to it. Stiuireadair, straight in, that big coastal hit stays there. I don't get any peat whatsoever, I don't get any smoke. Coastal sweet, bit more lively. So I'll go for the 12 this time first. Kind of that nutty note just stays there when you go kind of quickly between. I know it probably looks quite weird on, it's I'm dancing now, doesn't it? Like that. I know it looks quite weird on camera going between them, but it just keeps your senses, I think, your smells just constantly changing, because it's quite hard to smell them together. I think on the nose right now, I do prefer the 12, just everything that's going on in there. So we'll try it in the palate again. Stays dry. Cherries, strawberries, kind of vanilla milkshake, ice cream, something along that side, that kind of sweet, just straight vanilla hit from it. I think that's a really good quality bourbon casks that have been used in there. This kind of salty coastal hit on the Stiuireadair is lovely. There's a little bit of kind of it's not peat, but it's kind of like burnt sugar now, maybe like a burnt sweetness. Yeah, kind of burnt sweetness now, coastal, kind of more in your face, but both of the same ABV. And it's weird, I think, how age can mess with your mind a little bit with how alcohol can smell. And being older, I think if something is, say, 46%, which is older, doesn't smell like it's got a big hit, but if you smell something 46%, which is very young, that alcohol is still very lively. It's not settled. It's not interacted with wood enough to kind of take the smell and the. It's not even the word aggressive that I'm trying to use. I'm trying to think of something else, but it's just not interacted enough to calm itself down. But the 12-year-old it has. It's cleaner, it's sharper, a bit more spice at the end. As I say, that still kicks about there compared to the 12. The 12's got this kind of really well-rounded complexity, not overly complex. I think you can taste the difference between the bourbon being more prominent, I'm saying those vanilla notes, to that little bit of sherry finish. And then this being full sherry, first fill, second fill, the Stiuireadair as the kind of spice that I'm getting at the end. I do like them both. I think price point are absolutely great. If you look at Bunnahabhain itself, got £44 I said for the 12 and 38 straight from their website for the Stiuireadair. Stiuireadair. Obviously that pronunciation is always going to be wrong because I don't commit to them. I just try and change it up. The thing for me today, trying these side by side, 12 Stiuireadair. I think the 12 is my favourite out of the two. I think it's more trusted. I've been with it longer. I've tried it through the years. It's stayed very consistent. Never changed. They don't do a batch. It's just this is our 12-year-old, constant. My only tiny gripe would be for branding is the dark bottles. I like to see a clear bottle. I don't really care for colour. I do care. I like it to be natural colour, but I don't care what it looks like on a clear bottle. If it's light and it's a bourbon cask, great. If it's light and it says it's finished in sherry, it's still, that's fine. If it's got natural colour on there, non-chill filtered, that's what you want. But through this, it's hard to kind of see what's in there. But again, that gives you that little bit of, I wonder if that's a dark whiskey, I wonder if it's a light whiskey, because I can't really tell. So pouring that in the glass, we can see side by side, colour wise, hopefully you can see that the 12 is darker than the Stiuireadair. I'm going to go and sit back. I'm going to go and enjoy the both these and finish them off. As I say, I'm off this today and I've got 2 weeks off as of next week, so hopefully maybe I might try and do a wee live, who knows, maybe set something up. But I'll go and finish these off. Again, if you've liked these videos, you've stuck around long enough to see the very end, you can subscribe, you can put the wee bell on for weekly content. You can follow me on socials as well. I'll try and put something out every week, and I will try and potentially do a live next week if possible. But I've been Kevin Grant Whiskey. Join me next week. Let's talk whiskey. Slange. This one.